it cannot be a PAX East without Jools Watsham here from Renegade Kid.
It wasn't though.
Yeah, you almost didn't make it. How?
Oh my gosh. Hi.
Hi.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you again. We're actually here in the Gambitious booth because the game Xeodrifter is making it over to other platforms through them. So how did you begin your partnership with Gambitious to make this game?
You know what's interesting? So a lot of the guys behind Gambitious are also behind Devolver, who were also behind Gamecock back in the day, who published Dimentium, our first game. So, and then they're in Austin. So we've known these guys for years. They were looking. We'd released the game already on 3DS and Steam, and they were looking for to work with people. And we just kind of met up and we're like, hey, you want to work together and bring it to PS4 and Vita? They're like, yeah, sure. So it just worked out.
I also hear it's coming to Xbox One. Is that correct?
Potentially. I mean, we are working on it, but I think we might do Sony first and do like the PS4 and Vita at the same time. And more than likely, we will do Xbox One as well a little bit later. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what will make these new versions of the game stand out on the Vita as well as on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One?
Honestly, they're direct ports. We're not adding extra content. I guess that's debatable. I mean, we are finishing them up now, and we're chatting with Sony and so on, and manufacturers. So I guess there's potential we might add new stuff, but as of right now, we're doing a direct port of the game. So as of now, that's all it is. But it might change, I guess. But it's really just to kind of get the game to a wider audience. That's really the goal. Not really to say, hey, Sony guys, you got something awesome the Nintendo guys didn't get. It's not really about that. Yeah. Not saying it won't be that, because apparently those things like to happen, whether we want them to or not. We'll see. We'll see what happens, man.
The original Xeodrifter was made in a very short period of time. It was made in 5 months.
It was.
And it was originally going to be made in 3, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's obviously the detriments of making a game super fast. Are there any benefits in your mind of making a game quick and easy, just out the door really quickly?
It was the sense of momentum and excitement while you're making it is great, because you're really focused on it. You're really just totally, engulfs you, so you're totally in it for that period. But, it's pretty intense. I mean, we worked, a lot of hours. I guess if you spread it over normal work hours, it'd be many more months than it really was. But, you can't keep up that pace. It would be exhausting. So that would definitely be a detriment for sure. But benefits, I think, if the enthusiasm, I guess. But honestly, you'd have that in longer, projects as well. Really, it just comes down to the boring financial thing. You get games out quicker, you get money quicker, right?
Yeah.
And that was part of the reason that we did it, honestly, as well, which isn't very sexy or glamorous, but, it is what it is. We still have to make money, to make games, but we try to design a game that would fit in that time rather than make something and just ship it, oh, well, it doesn't matter how good it is. So, I hope that we made something that isn't reflective of that time. But I guess you guys can be the judge of that.
We shall. Now, and I could play it, and I tell you, it's a good game. I tell you, especially.
That's what he was supposed to say. He was a bit slow on that, but whatever.
I was not paid to say it. It's a good game. You mentioned, of course, that making money is a big making money was a big, of course, getting a game done as fast as possible was a big part of this development. And in fact, part of the way through it, you actually had to go back after a few years of making games for yourselves. You had to go and work for hire for a short period of time. What exactly are the major differences between the two now that you've re-experienced working for hire?
Making games for yourself is obviously undoubtedly awesome and superior to working for someone else. It always will be. But it comes with that risk that, you are relying on the sales from that game to make you money to make more games. When you work for someone else, they pay you to make that game, you walk away, you're good to go, They give you money up front to make it, so it really doesn't matter how many it sells. So obviously if you have a deal where you get some money on the back end, that's great too, but that's really the main differences, the freedom versus the security, that comes with being truly independent. So it's always that kind of constant battle for us where, we'll release a game, like Bomb Monkey, which we've played that. We did that in the past.
I played it yesterday.
Oh, thank you. We're really proud of that game. It didn't take very long to make, but honestly, it hasn't sold that many, unfortunately. So we can't, if we do too many of those games, oh dear, we have to go and find some contract work. I expect we'll probably do more work for hire in the future, unfortunately, because it just goes like that, because we want to take those risks. We want to make a game that we want to just make, get it out there, and if it sells well, great, we get to just make more games. But if it doesn't, oh well, we still feel proud about it, but maybe we're then going to have to do some work for hire to make some money to make some more games. So it's a weird thing. Yeah.
It's a cycle, and unfortunately it sometimes does that.
Yeah. So I mean, the hope is that we make one or a few games that sell really well and continue to sell really well, and then we can continue to support those with spin-offs and sequels, and then that can be money that we can get that then can allow us to make new games that are completely original and whatever and risky and just fun for the sake of it, without having to worry about making things that are going to make money. That's the ideal situation we'd like to be in.
And speaking of spin-offs and sequels, Xeodrifter is fairly new, came out last year. It's coming out fairly soon for other platforms. Now that you've had the world of Xeodrifter out to everybody, where do you see the series going?
I haven't thought that far ahead yet. I have no idea. I really don't. We've made Xeodrifter. It was awesome to make. It very similar to Muds. It was a personal desire that I wanted to fulfill, and now I have, and it feels great to have accomplished that. I'm really proud of the game, and it was actually really awesome to do it in such a short time as well. It's almost like it didn't happen, It's like, we have a game, that's cool. No, I'd love to do a sequel, of course. There's always ways to improve on what you've done, for sure. I don't think we'll probably ever release a game that I will consider, or anyone will consider, to be perfect. I'd love to do a sequel. I'd love to take it in a different direction, build upon it, improve upon it. But no plans yet. But we'd love to, yeah.
Now, not too long ago, through Nintendo Force, you announced the next Mutant Muds game, Mutant Muds Super Challenge.
That's right.
What does it offer to those who've played Mutant Muds Deluxe?
Balls hard gameplay. That's a little bit more than that, but definitely that. No, it's not crazy hard. It's not like, oh my gosh. Well, some people may actually break their 3DS. I don't know, but because some people found the first game really, really hard, which I guess in some ways it is. But it is 40 brand new levels and all pretty hard. So there's 20 regular, 20 secret, kind of like the first game. There's some new stuff that hasn't been announced yet, that I'm not able to announce yet, sorry, that will be in the game. So there's definitely more content to be revealed later. But what I will say, though, is that's 40 unique levels in the 5 worlds, similar to the first game, but the 5 worlds are completely brand new. So there's new art themes for all of the levels, which is really exciting. It's really neat to see a screenshot from this game, and it looks, Max is the same, but the level is like, hey, that wasn't in Muds. What? Hey, that's a new game. So that's really exciting. Literally every screenshot will look different in the first game. So that's cool. That's exciting. It's just fun to jump into. Like, there's the jungle for the first world. Second world is kind of a new take on an icy kind of cave with nice transparent crystal type things in there and so on. And then we have a nice cloud one and a nice desert one, and then there's a temple kind of in the background that you kind of go into and stuff. So Troop, the guy who did the music from the original game, done new music for this game. They are sublime. They're really awesome. Now I'll send him a screenshot, and then it will send tunes back. I'm like, dude, it's so good. They fit so well. It's just ridiculous. It's so good. What else can I reveal? I'm trying to think.
What other tidbits can we have you to be in?
We're trying to massage, a few things. Like the hub level select is a little bit more, is different than the original game. It's a little larger. There's a little bit of exploration there. It's interesting the way it's set up. I'll try to explain it, but it might not come across right. But you're kind of in the foreground. You'll have 4 levels over here, 4 over here, 4 up there, 4 up there. And in the background center is the temple. And completing these will feed into the temple, into the background, to unlock them to then get to the end. In the end, the whole point of the game is it continues the story from the last game, where Max is in the jungle and he's like, oh dang Granny, where'd you get all those medals from? And hey, I just got some special intel. There's some new stuff brewing somewhere, and he's in the jungle, coincidentally. So anyway, so you start off in the jungle, and the whole point is, the intel is, you've located the site of the meteorite that crashed and the Muds came from. So you've located where it is, and it's still spewing out Muds. Shocker. So you need to go there and take it out once and for all. So that's kind of the ultimate goal. And the meteorite is like basically embedded in the top of the temple, and you can see that in the background of the hub level. Actually, it's actually pretty cool. There's like a little intro level now. So it's a little different. Like they'll have the intro sequence, which will explain all the doodads, and then you'll play the level, and there's an intro level where it starts off in the jungle. You kind of walk up the temple, and then the meteorite kind of zaps you and kind of kicks you off into now the hub kind of thing, and you have to try and get back up there. So it's interesting. I think it'll feel a little bit more cohesive, you know, whereas Muds was just very abstract. Look, here's some levels, hey, you know, yeah, have fun. Where this is still quite abstract, but at least has a little bit more of a context, like, I beat these to unlock that to get there. Cool, I get it. So I think that'll be fun. I think that gives it a little bit extra sense of purpose, which is interesting. So yeah, no, it's coming along great. You know, we added little areas where there'll be like a little porthole in the level artwork where you can see through it, and there'll be like a little gem in there. So you can go behind the level artwork and pick them up. So it's interesting how that, and every level has some of those somewhere. Like they may have 1 or 3 or 10 inside there. And it's interesting what extra challenge and just experience that gives the player, because you have to be observant now and think, you have to look out for these little things, and then you have to think, well, how do I get there? Do I drop down here and drop in? Because you don't know where the entrance is. You know roughly where it might be, but is it that side? Is it that side? What do I have to do to get there? So it's interesting. It kind of changes things up a little bit, because you might get to the end of the level, hey, I've collected all the gems. What? Oh man, I guess there's something I missed back there. So I think, anyway, it's fun. It changes, adds a new element to the game. So that's cool.
Now, in developing Mutant Muds, you've made multiple types of levels. You made those, the granny levels were made for the PC version when it first came out.
Right.
There was the ghost levels you made for Deluxe, and now you're making these super harder levels.
Yeah.
What goes through your mind when you start developing a level?
Well, I try to think of something. It's like think of a theme or an anchor, some kind of objective, you know, like what is going to make this level maybe a little different. You know, it doesn't have to necessarily, you know, be across the entire theme of the level. It could just be the beginning or a certain enemy type or a certain, you know, something. So I try and think of something like, it'd be cool to have a level that's just got loads of these stomper guys. It'd be cool to, how do I make a level that maximizes the use of those guys and presents that challenge in different ways in one level, because it kind of gives that level a theme now and a personality. Sometimes though, I'll just sit down and go, all right, blank page, I'm just going to start, let's go, you know? So it kind of varies really. But I do have an Excel spreadsheet, very sexy. It's colored too. Yeah. And super tiny font, it all fits on one screen, it's very nice. And it shows where the levels are introduced, where the enemies are introduced in the levels, which is very important, because World 1, only this collection of enemies are allowed there. You know, and then you can add to that for World 2 and so on, and they expand over time. Because I like that, and it's important, I think, for the player to make sure that they're being introduced to new enemies across the game. So I kind of need to know what enemies am I allowed to use here, you know, to make sure. So I think for the player, if they play it linearly, they get that sense of progression, you know, of the enemies over time. There's no formula to it. It's just totally winging it.
It's improvisational level creation.
Totally.
Yeah, and I hear that some people believe that you should make the beginning and the last levels first, and then fill in the middle, much like a story. Is that kind of how it should be done?
You can. I mean, I think if you're making something that requires an obscene amount of effort and assets, and you don't want to throw them away, you know, if you're doing like a massive, epic 3D, colossal, oh my gosh, lots of people, lots of money to make this, it'd probably be very smart to do that. Yeah, because you know, once when you're at the end of development of the game, you know everything. You're very comfortable, you know the gameplay, you know all of the things. Yes, it's probably a very good idea then to go back and make level 1 to make sure it's representing the game properly and teaching the player what they need to know, and has all the subtleties and the nuances that now you've learned as a developer that the player should benefit from. But for us, doing a 2D game, it's not quite as much of an issue, because I'm tweaking levels all the time. It's so easy to change something completely. I can redo a level completely, you know, in a day or two, and it's completely done from scratch. So for me, it's not so important, and for me, maybe it's a small OCD problem or something. I don't have an OCD problem, but there's a tiny one, where I like to have level 1 done. You know, it would bother me if it doesn't exist, you know? I'm like, I'm going to go to level 2. Like, no, that would really bother me. But I haven't done level 1 yet. So I like to do that first. And I'll come back to it and change it. And I do. But it needs to be there for me. And then I can come back to it later. But with mods, I'm so comfortable with it. I've made, there was 80 levels, I guess, for the first game. Now I've made another, 40. I've made a lot of levels for this thing. So I'm pretty comfortable with it.
Now, we should stress that it's called Mutant Mud Super Challenge, not Mutant Muds 2.
Yeah.
Now, what parts of Super Challenge are going to be hinting at what comes in 2, if there is a 2 anywhere in development?
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit it's probably a little bit confusing to everyone. The way we view a sequel, with Muds at least anyway, is very, like, a sequel would be dramatically different and more epic and diverse. It'd be a significant change. So Super Challenge started out as literally like Lost Levels. Same artwork, reshuffled with higher difficulty, done. But then I was like, people are not going to like that. I'm not going to like that. That doesn't sound very interesting. So then we were like, let's do new artwork, let's do new music, and then the other stuff I can't talk about yet. So it kind of is a sequel, honestly. It really is. It probably could be called Mutant Muds 2. And maybe it should be, I don't know. But Super Challenge is good because it is. It is a step up. I mean, it is a direct continuation of the first game. If you've beat the first game, you'll be ready for this. I mean, level 1 does not mess around. There's death almost immediately, taunting you. So you need to have your skill together, to get through it. So it's probably a good idea to have that name on there. Otherwise, players might be not know what they're getting in for.
Now, earlier this year, we actually got to see one of the other games get its final completion with Moon Chronicles.
Yeah.
You showed that off last year, actually.
Right.
Now, that game was an episodic game, and it ended up coming with all the episodes all at once. Right. Now that you've experienced producing episodic content in some way, what do you feel about doing it in the future? I
won't. Yeah, that was a terrible idea. Well, I think it can work, obviously. Telltale's. Well, actually, they're probably the only company that have made it work. But no, I doubt we'll attempt that again. It really didn't work out for us. Like we don't have the ability to kind of do the pace of the releases that is required to keep the interest going. And honestly, I don't know if the players really want it. Like I heard from many people, it's like, just give me the game. Why are you chopping it up and giving me in pieces? Why? I just want the game. And I agree. I don't see many benefits to chopping it up. It was a nice idea. I'm glad we tried it. It was interesting. We won't be doing that again anytime soon. So like Dimentium, for example, it will be a standalone game. Here you go, boom. And honestly, actually with Moon Chronicles, when we release it in Europe, we'll probably put it in one game and just release it as one game in Europe. I don't think we'll do episodic over there. I just don't see the point.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because you guys are bringing Dimentium toward to the 3DS. You announced that fairly recently. In fact, Nintendo showed off on the listing. What new stuff or what changes are you giving to Dimentium the Ward for the 3DS port?
Dude, it's pretty sick. It really is. In a disgusting and awesome way. Two meanings of the word. It's cool. It's interesting because I'm working on Super Challenge while Greg, my business partner, art director, is working on Dimentium. So we're very kind of separate in that way. So just last week, he sent me a delicious little new package which showed the updates of the enemies, well, two of the enemies, the Chessmore and Sneaky Torso. And we need to change that name, I think. It was really cool, because I'm like, I'm off in Super Challenge world, and it's neat, because the way he laid it out was, on one side of the paper was the image, was the DS one, and it's funny, because, you see his shoulder, and it's like a box, it's like boom, boom.
As little poly as you can get.
Yeah, and on the DS, that was fine. The screen was tiny, no one cared, it was like, yeah, great, whatever. We can't get away with that on the 3DS, so it's nice, and you can see the tone of the muscle and stuff, on the 3DS version. The textures are way higher res, so the mouth and the throat, you couldn't tell, but they were stitched together. It was pretty disgusting. You can't see that on the DS. It's a big blurry mesh. You're like, yeah, okay. But now you can totally see it, and it's disgusting. It's awesome. I mean, you can see the stitches. You can see the flesh, and on here and stuff. It looks really, really good. So not only are they higher res geometry, the higher res textures, we're also adding bump map and specularity. So for those who don't know what that is it's just a really cool technique for when you do the flashlight on something, you'll see the lighting, you'll see the depth of the lighting. So this crease, for example, on my shirt, you know, the highlight would go there when the light goes across it, the shadow would fall there. You would see that as it's, so the creases in their skin and the grossness, and it really pops. It's awesome. Anyway, they look great. And then the sneaky torso guy is visually been quite redesigned, where now he basically has his skin removed, and it's just...
The skin just needs to go away.
Yeah, no.
Just remove it from the game. Come on, it's too much.
I think Greg was like, there's too much skin in this game. I'm getting rid of it. So it's just muscles. It's just, you can see all the muscles. It looks awesome. It looks really, and the eyes are all weird. And yeah, no, it's cool. He really wanted to make them look more scary, as well as making them look better for the 3DS. He's, you know, had an opportunity. This was 7 years ago we made, or 5 years ago we made this game. No, hang on. 2007.
2007, 8 years ago.
Yeah, so it's a long time ago we did this, you know. So, so it's good to nearly had a thing right then. Yeah, so Greg's had an opportunity to really go in there and go, great, how do you make these guys scarier? You know, not only, you know, higher res.
Okay.
So not only that, so we have that treatment on the walls as well with the bump maps. It looks really cool. And from a gameplay perspective, as soon as we got the rights back, the first thing I did was replay the game, you know, the original game. You know, immediately I just saw lots of room for improvement, you know, such as, you know, enemies shouldn't be respawning, you know, add some extra save points. There were some unnecessary challenges in that game for the player that didn't feel fair, so it's nice to kind of address those. We kind of addressed those actually with Moon Chronicles and Dimentium 2, so it's nice to come back to Dimentium now and you know, learn from those things and apply it to our first game and release that and make it a better game.
Now, the last project we know about you guys are making, besides any other hidden stuff, is Treasurenauts.
Yep.
I think 2 years ago we knew about the name. The year after that you had a demo, and now it's still in development.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a game you guys are making. You don't recall?
I think, yes.
You guys are vaguely in the
A
background.
year ago we were talking about that, I think, weren't we? Yeah.
How is development of that game coming around?
It obviously has been put on hold a little bit for for Super Challenge, you know. It's definitely going to happen, and I'm just sounding like a broken record. I don't know, Joshy out there is always giving me a hard time on Twitter at the BitBlock because he really wants to see it and stuff. But no, it's going to happen. You know, it's just one of the unfortunate realities of being an indie is, you know, things change, and if we've announced something perhaps too early, you know, we have to pay the consequences of delaying it and upsetting people, which sucks. Obviously, we'd never want to do that. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't really have much to share on it right now. I mean, it's an unfortunate circumstance, which, even though I'll say this and no one will believe me, it's no reflection of the game. It's just, you know, we had to reshuffle things in a different order. I'm really excited to get back to Treasurenauts someday, soon. Actually, that is the thing.
That's after Super Challenge, I imagine.
I know, and I probably said that before, because I'm pretty sure I said it's the first thing I do after Xeodrifter, which obviously was a lie, because apparently I'm a liar. But I'm going to lie again and say that that's the thing I'm going to work. But I'm not actually lying, but it may change. But right now, my intention is to work on Treasurenauts when Super Challenge is done. Yeah, because I don't think I have anything else going on. Yeah, so that's it. Yeah.
Before we let you go, I just want to know, is there anything else you want to tell people out there, all fans of Renegade Kid, what to look out for from you guys in the future?
I think we've pretty much announced everything that we have going on. You know, if we haven't made it clear, our plan is definitely to do Dimentium and Dimentium 2, both for the 3DS. Like I said before, as standalone games. So we hope to get both of those out this year, with any luck. Super Challenge is coming out on the 3DS and a Wii U at the same time, so that's exciting. So that'd be cool. No, I think we've announced everything that we have going on right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and you still have other games too. I mean, every Wednesday you have games where you're playing through ATV Wild Ride, right?
Yeah, no, that's been fun, man. Yeah. Every Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Central. Yeah, online with ATV Wild Ride. Yeah.
If you have that game, that's the time to get online.
Yeah.
Or get online whenever you want. I'm sure there's somebody there.
It's actually really fun because I hadn't played it for a while. You know, so it's actually really a relief, honestly. When I came back to play it, I'm like, this is fun. I'm really enjoying playing with everyone online every week. It's really cool. So I'll see you in the dirt next week.
Yeah, and I'll see you there too.
Yes.
And we'll see you there as well if you go and try it out. And also check out all the other games from Renegade Kid on the 3DS eShop, on the Wii U eShop, on the PlayStation Network, and yeah, don't forget to try out Xeodrifter. It's a solid and fun game.